You've probably heard about Janet Jackson's toxic relationship with her ex-husband, billionaire Wissam Al-Mana, but do you know just how bad it really was? Was Janet manipulated, or did she stay just to fulfill a contract and pocket a reported $200 million? Janet has recently opened up, and trust me, it was messy. She felt like a prisoner in her own home, and we're about to dive into all the details of that drama. Janet and Wissam got married in 2012, and during their time together, they had a son, Issa Al-Mana, born on January 3, 2017. However, just a few months after Issa's birth, in April of the same year, it seemed like Janet and Wissam had split, which Janet later confirmed herself. Sources suggest Janet should have recognized the warning signs early on, as those close to her were concerned she was being manipulated by her controlling husband. Her family, including her sister LaToya, didn't approve of Wissam and expressed their worries. LaToya even admitted she didn't know Janet was married until she heard about it in the news. Janet had dreamed of a grand wedding with friends and family, but she eventually gave in to Wissam's desire for something small and low-key, in line with his conservative views. This would mark the first of many compromises she would have to make. Janet later revealed how she was pressured to adapt to his lifestyle, such as removing her makeup and hair extensions during visits to his family in Qatar, and wearing traditional clothing. She even changed her onstage behavior, wishing her fans, Inshallah, God willing, at the end of each show, and included Arabic words in one of her song's chorus. Janet also relocated to London to please Wissam, and they had homes in Doha, Qatar, and New York. But she resented how Wissam refused to meet her family and kept her out of the spotlight. Her 2016 tour's UK and European legs were abruptly cancelled when she announced an indefinite postponement to focus on starting a family. At this point, she had already let Wissam dictate her appearance and performances, which led her to feel disconnected from her fans and overwhelmed. Reports suggest they separated soon after their son Issa was born, as the cultural differences between them became more apparent. Wissam allegedly pushed Janet to change her ways, and during their marriage, she became more private, often dressing in a way that covered her entirely. Wissam's controlling behavior became stifling, and after giving birth, Janet reportedly wasn't allowed to leave the house while nursing. Their differing views on raising Issa made it impossible for them to continue as a couple. Randy Jackson, Janet's older brother, spoke out about the marriage, claiming that it wasn't just cultural differences that caused the split. He revealed that Janet endured verbal abuse, with Wissam calling her offensive names daily, and she felt trapped in her own home. Randy told People magazine that Janet had been through a lot, both with the divorce and the struggles that came with it. He even told her she needed to move in with him, or he'd take matters into his own hands. He didn't hold back, saying that enough was enough. Randy also emphasized that the issues weren't about religious beliefs, as he knew many Muslim people who didn't behave like Wissam. He felt the problem was personal, and while he prayed for Wissam, he wouldn't let his sister endure the situation any longer. When asked how Janet was coping, Randy admitted that it was a difficult time for her. He shared how Janet had been breaking down in tears on stage during her performances. He recalled her opening night in Houston, where she couldn't hold back her emotions. Randy explained that her situation had become evident to the audience during that performance, noting that Janet now had custody of Issa and that Wissam allowed her to bring the baby on tour. Another insider revealed that Wissam showed no interest in Janet's family, especially her mother. Janet, who had always been close to her mom, was struggling to care for both her newborn and her mother, who was going through a tough time. Wissam, however, appeared indifferent to the challenges Janet was facing, particularly with her mother's situation. It seems strange that Wissam Al-Mana, who claims that family is at the center of everything he does, was not supportive of his wife Janet Jackson amid their separation. When Wissam responded to the allegations, he seemed to suggest nothing of the sort had happened. In fact, after news of their separation broke, he updated his website with a passage from the Quran: "You shall most certainly be tried in your possessions and in your persons, and indeed you shall hear many hurtful things from those to whom revelation was granted before your time, as well as from those who have ascribed divinity to other beings besides Allah. But if you remain patient in adversity and conscious of Him, behold, this is something to set one's heart upon." He also posted a message on his website with a picture of Janet, expressing his admiration. "To the most beautiful person in the world, thank you for your divine love, your eternal support, and for being my best friend. I love you so much. Inshallah, we will be together in the great forever." Additionally, Wissam's lawyers issued a statement saying they would not dignify the allegations with a response. They emphasized that the breakdown of his marriage to Janet Jackson was deeply saddening, and that his focus remained on the well-being and privacy of their son, Issa. Despite these public statements, the situation remained complicated. In 2008, Janet called the police on Wassam after he was allegedly behaving aggressively around their 1-year-old son, Isa. Some reports indicated that the nanny was frightened by Wassam's behavior, while others suggested Janet was concerned about his potential to use substances around their child. While this was resolved quietly, the tension between the two was clearly ongoing. Recently, sources close to Janet have revealed that she has spoken about the toxic nature of her marriage to Wassam, aligning with what her brother Randy had claimed. These sources suggested Janet is still not fully over the ordeal, and that her breakup with Wassam has impacted her romantic life. In contrast, some people believe that Janet might be the one at fault, citing her history of short relationships as evidence. Janet's first relationship of note was with basketball player Magic Johnson in 1983. At the time, Janet was only 16, while Magic was 24. The two were photographed together, with one image showing Magic wrapping his arms around Janet and another of them kissing. This sparked controversy, as it resurfaced in 20 and led to discussions about Janet's experience growing up. Janet's first marriage was to musician James DeBarge in 1984, when she was just 18. Reports suggest she married him in an attempt to escape her controlling father, Joe Jackson. Unfortunately, their marriage didn't last due to James's struggle with addiction. Janet found herself in the role of caretaker, even going as far as to try and flush his drugs down the toilet during heated fights. Rumors also circulated about Janet having a secret child with James. In 2016, James himself suggested the possibility of a child, but both Janet and her sister Rebby denied it. Later, Janet dated Renee Elizondo Jr., a Mexican songwriter and music video director. The two secretly married in 1991, but it wasn't until 2000, when Renee filed for divorce, that their marriage was made public. Renee claimed that their relationship had become more about business and creativity than love. Janet's next significant relationship was with Jermaine Dupri in 2002. After a few years, Jermaine ended the relationship, though the two reportedly remained friends. In a 2022 documentary, Jermaine spoke warmly about Janet, stating they had maintained a close friendship for over a decade. There have also been several rumors surrounding Janet Jackson's relationships that never fully came to light. In 2021, comedian Bill Bellamy opened up about a brief fling he had with Janet in the 90s, admitting there was an undeniable attraction between them. However, he clarified that it was nothing serious and didn't develop into a full-fledged relationship. Similarly, rumors about a potential romance with actor Matthew McConaughey surfaced after they presented an award together at the 2002 Grammy Awards. Matthew confirmed in 2019 that they did go out on a few dates, but nothing ever came of it. Additionally, hip-hop artist Q-Tip, in an interview, hinted at a brief connection with Janet, suggesting something might have happened between them after they met a few times. However, this was never fully confirmed by either party. Despite these brief relationships, Janet's love life remains a topic of public fascination, especially following the end of her marriage to Wassam Almana. After the separation, many began questioning whether Janet herself was the issue when it came to her inability to maintain long-term relationships. Some suggested that her marriages seemed to have a pattern, raising the possibility that Janet struggled to sustain stable partnerships. However, others speculated that her marriage to Wassam was financially motivated, particularly due to the terms outlined in their prenuptial agreement. Janet's prenuptial agreement with Wassam included clauses that guaranteed her $100 million if the marriage lasted for at least 5 years and an additional $100 million if she had a male child. This raised eyebrows when their marriage hit a rough patch shortly after Janet reached the 5-year mark and gave birth to their son. Some began to question whether Janet had stayed in the marriage solely to fulfill the financial requirements of the contract. Moreover, there were whispers suggesting that Janet may have felt trapped in the relationship, possibly manipulated or even brainwashed into staying. Others speculated that her personal struggles and the pressures of her public life could have played a role in her inability to maintain a lasting relationship. With so much speculation surrounding her love life, it's clear that the public is still left with many unanswered questions about what really transpired between Janet and Wassam. What do you think? Was Janet's relationship with Wassam purely for financial gain, or was it just another instance where she couldn't find lasting love? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.